Yo, what's up, y'all? I know y'all probably say, man, every time Sean start a video, he always messing with his tripod. Why don't he get his tripod straight first before he start talking? Welcome to the channel. If it's your first time here, welcome to the podcast. So you could also follow me on my Instagram at the same name, the podcast with Soul. If you want to get in touch with me, you can email me at thepodcastwithsoul@gmail.com, or you can DM me through my Instagram. You know, I was thinking today about this particular video that I'm going to talk to you guys about now. When I got sentenced on my federal white collar tax case, the day I got sentenced, when I went to court for my sentencing, which was August the 4th, 2014, that was over 10 years ago. Today is November the 1st, 2024. When I got sentenced, and I got sentenced to prison, I wanted probation. I wanted home confinement. I did not want to go to prison. I did not want to go. I was scared to go. And I had mandatory incarceration based on my base offense level and the guideline range. I got charged with a 28-count indictment of aiding and abetting in the preparation of fraudulent tax returns. So I pled guilty to that. They had me dead to the rights. They had me on camera. They had me on film. They had me on recording on wire. My clients had come in and set me up. You know, I was dead. I was the only one on my case. I had the option to cooperate, to become a rat. I didn't do it. I could have stayed out of prison, but I didn't do it. So I pled guilty. I rubbed it on my chest and I went on to the joint. When I got sentenced to 18 months incarceration. I was level zone level 1 zone D, level 1, what is it? Zone 1, level 15. Am I saying that right? No, category 1, level 15, or category 0, level 15. I didn't have any points from prior convictions. All my prior convictions were over 15 years old. I had some prior convictions on drug charges in Atlanta, but they were over 15 years old, so they didn't count toward my sentencing for my federal case. And so I was Zone D, Category 0, or either Category 1, Level 15. One of the two. And it was mandatory incarceration. So they sentenced me to 18 months in prison. I'm sorry, y'all. And I remember standing there. The assistant U.S. attorney was there, black girl. And the senior probation officer was there. That's the one that writes your PSI, your pre-sentence investigating report, or PSR, whatever you want to call it. The judge, and I had a public defender. I had a public pretender. And I never will forget that day. I never will forget that day. I was living in Jersey City, New Jersey at the time. Chilltown. Chilltown. And Little Sean had stayed the night with me. He was 3 years old. Little Sean was 3 years old. And me and him caught the PATH train, public transportation, the subway train in Jersey City, North Jersey. We call it the PATH train. Port Authority Transit. Something. And we caught the PATH train from Journal Square. We caught the 87 bus, New Jersey Transit, on Monticello to Journal Square. And then we caught the train from Journal Square to Penn Station in Newark. And from Penn Station in Newark, me and Little Sean walked to 50 Walnut Street, which is where the federal court is, 50 Walnut Street. And me and him walked up there together. He was 3. I had my suit on. I didn't know what to expect. But I was glad that the day had came that I was gonna definitively and finally know my fate. Was I getting probation? Was I going to prison? Was I getting home confinement? What was gonna happen with me? Because for 3.5 years, I had been up in my head and in the dark about what my fate was going to be. And that's a very painful place to be when you don't know what is going to happen to you. That in and of itself is a form of torture. Torture may be a harsh word, but it's a form of punishment. Let me say that. So I'm standing there in the courtroom. Me and Sean walk in the courtroom. Big ass courtroom. Wood all over the place. And the guard, the bailiff, the cop that was in the court said, your son can't stay in here while you get sent. Me and him sat there until the judge came out, or when the judge was getting ready to come out. And then the cop came over and said, yo, your son can't stay in here. So I was like, yo. So I told Sean, I said, yo, wait outside for me. He was 3 years old. And this white boy that worked for the court came and got him. And they went out in the hallway. So the judge sat down, she did her thing, she said what she had to do. And I think she opened up the floor for the senior probation officer to talk about my PSI. And then I think she gave the floor to the prosecutor or the assistant U.S. attorney. And the assistant U.S. attorney says, Judge, we recommend prison time, 18 months. And said what they had to say. And then my public pretender got up and said something, and I think he asked for 6 months probation or something. And then I think they gave me the floor to say something. I can't remember what I said, but I'm pretty sure I probably said something that was along the lines of begging for mercy and leniency that I wasn't sincere about. I just didn't want to go to prison. I probably didn't mean nothing what I said. I just didn't want her to send me to the joint because I didn't want to leave my son, and I was scared to go to prison because I had never been to prison before. I had did time in the county jail, Fulton County Jail, Atlanta, Georgia, Wright Street, the Cobb County Jail on Memorial Drive, 100 Center Street, Central Booking in Manhattan, but never prison. And I think after I got done saying everything, the judge said everything she had to say, and she says, I'm going to sentence you to 18 months incarceration in the Federal Bureau of Prisons. And she said something else. And she says, you're going to get a notice in the mail about when you have to self-surrender, and you're free to go. They didn't arrest me right on the spot. I was out on $100,000 unsecured bond. So I got my sentence, and I think me and the public pretender walked out, and Little Sean was in the hallway, and he ran up to me and hugged me like he always do. He had no idea what was going on. And we left the courtroom, and we went and got on the PAV train at Newark Penn Station and caught the PAV train back to Jersey City. We caught the 87 from Journal Square to Gardner Avenue between Monticello and Summit. That's where I live. And, you know, I felt so relieved. I felt so much relief. And only somebody that's been to prison, that's been in jail, can relate to this. That when you finally get sentenced, you have a feeling of relief, even if you're not satisfied with what you have to do, because at least now you know what has to be done in order to get this shit behind you, right? And you know what your fate is, you know what your future holds. A lot of times in life, man, when we don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow, even in relationships, you know, for the ladies, is he gonna leave me? Is he gonna stay with me? Is he gonna leave? He might stay. Then he might change his mind and go. When you in a state of flux like that, and the same thing with the dudes, is she gonna cut me off? Is she gonna divorce me? Is she gonna stay? When you are in the unknown, that's a painful, painful place to be. But when you know, when these people come to you, your husband, your wife, and say, yo, I want a divorce, I want out of this situation, or I'm gonna stay with you, we're gonna make this thing. Once you know, then you feel better. You feel relief because you have some finality to your situation. And that's what that sentence did for me. And I had 60 days to get my affairs in order. I had 60 days before I had to self-surrender, because I got sentenced on August the 1st, 2014, August the 4th, 2014, and I reported to prison October the 4th, 2014. They sent me a letter, and I had to fly from New Jersey to Morgantown, West Virginia, and surrender by 12 noon, October the 4th. They said, if you're not there in the letter, if you're not there at the prison at 12 noon, at 12:01, we will be issuing you a warrant for your arrest. You will be a fugitive of justice, and the U.S. Marshals will be hunting you down to serve you and apprehend you and bring you to justice. That's what the letter said. United States of America versus Sean Gumby. That's what the letter said. Sure did. You know how I know? Because I read it. It had my name on it. And I remember going back home, and them next 60 days, I spent as much time with Little Sean as I possibly could. You know, and I just, you know, I had come up out of my depression, because like I say, I was in a depression for about 3.5 years, because that's how long I stayed out fighting my case or trying to make them forget, or in a fantasy land thinking it was going to go away or whatever. And I was just not knowing my fate. and just so many things was happening through that 3.5 years. But after I got sentenced, man, a lot of those feelings of uh, fear, worry, insecurity, hopelessness, they dissipated, and I began to like gain my footing. Like, okay, now let me just go on out here, go in this prison, and do what I got to do. You understand? Um, and I spent as much time. I spent as much time with Little Sean as I possibly could, and my house was in foreclosure. My principal residence was in foreclosure. My 9 rental properties was in foreclosure. My mother was trying to save them. I didn't want them no more. You know, I didn't want nothing to do. I had already shut down my tax business. I didn't renew my real estate broker's license. You know, I knew that I was dead in the water, and I let everything go. I didn't want nothing to do. The whole federal case, like I say, before I caught my Fed case, I was a licensed real estate broker in New Jersey. I had my own property management business. I had my own financial consulting business. I was a licensed real estate broker. I was a tax professional. I was an accountant. I was all of this stuff. And when I caught my case, you know, I was all of these things. So all of these things, all of these hats that I wore, and all these businesses that I had, all legit businesses with EIN numbers, PTIN numbers, EFIN numbers. I was registered with the IRS. Everything was legit. All of these businesses were tainted or blemished and had a stain on them from my case. So I didn't want them no more. I didn't want nothing to do with that. You know, it was just too painful to hold on to. You know, I just didn't want nothing to do with it. And if I had to go broke, then I had to go broke. But I did not want that life no more. And my mother tried to save all my properties, and I told her, "Ma, let them go. I don't want them." And she went ahead and did it anyway. And when I got out, I told her, I said, "I don't want them. I don't want nothing to do with that. That's a past life. I don't want to prepare no more taxes. I don't want to sell no more real estate. I don't want to do nothing with what I used to do. I got a brand new box of chalk, and I got a brand new blackboard, and I can write whatever I want on that blackboard. I can write me a whole new life. I got a brand new clean sheet of paper with a brand new ink pen, and I can write me a whole new story." And I knew that when I got out of prison, that this was going to be my second act, right? That who I was and what had happened to me, you know, wasn't gonna define me, right? And I wasn't gonna be frozen in time as that, right? You know, they had wrote all these articles in the newspaper about me on the internet, you know, calling me a fraud and this and that, and the DOJ, you know, the Department of Justice, the Federal Criminal Court in Newark, issued a press release, you know, announcing my conviction, and they just painted me in a slant, like a negative slant, that I was some type of just thief, low, you know what I'm saying, just untrustworthy, liar, thief, you know. And I did break the law, and I was wrong for that. I broke the law, and I was a liar at that time. But I always been a solid nigga, to my soul, to my core, for the most part. And even more so now, you know, what I say out my mouth it's better than a government check. And I knew when I got out that that I had to counter everything that niggas was saying about me in the street. My haters were happy that I fell. Uh, my brother helped, you know, convict me. You know, Sean's mother cooperated against me. Me and her had Sean together. She was my secretary. And when it got rough, she cooperated against me and stole custody of little Sean from me. True story. Clients that I knew 15, 20, 25 years that I knew from Narcotics Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous, that they came to me, I sponsored them, I helped them get clean, I helped them put their families back together, I helped them get their kids out of the system, I helped them get jobs, I helped them stay clean, and I did their taxes. They cooperated against me too. That was very painful to see, because I never would have did to them what they did to me. Never. I couldn't do it. But they did it to me. And that's why I'm jaded to this day in terms of trust and integrity and authenticity, and get close to people, let people get close to me. The only one who stuck with me throughout the whole case, from the day I caught it to the day I came home from prison, was little Sean. The only one. And my mother. And my mother dead. So that's and myself. I was there for the whole movie. I saw the whole movie. And that's why I rely on myself the way that I do. And I knew when I got out. That I didn't know what I was going to do, to tell you the truth. I didn't know what I was going to do. But I knew I wasn't going to let my haters beat me. They weren't going to win. I wasn't going to let the people that were happy that I fell, I wasn't going to just fold my tent and cave in and be nothing, and they could say, look at that nigga, he gave up and quit. He had all that money and lost it, and look at him now, he looks stupid. Because that's what they were saying. When I fell, they said, he's done. That's what they were saying, he's done. I was dealing with this girl, this Jamaican girl. Her cousin told her, Sean will never get back to the level that he once was. And me and the Jamaican was together. This her cousin, you know what I'm saying, putting a bullet in her head, you know what I'm saying, dropping salt in her ear about me, not minding her business, interfering with my relationship with her. Sean will never get back to where he was. She told me. You know, but all that did, it motivated me, man. It inspired me. Because I knew I was better than y'all. In my mind, I was better than y'all before this fair case. So, like, this fair case, this is just a setback. This is just a learning experience. This was a mistake that I made, that I'm fixing, that I didn't run from, that I ran toward. And when I get through this, and I will, I'm gonna be better than you then. And I didn't even know how. I didn't even know how strong going through all that was gonna make me, man. You know, I became a superhero, man, as a result of crashing and burning. I'm stronger now than I've ever been in my whole life. And I'm talking about as far as resilience and will and fortitude and strength of mind, right? Mental stamina, determination, mental alchemy, concentration, dedication, physical strength, arrogance, conceit, confidence, ego, belief in oneself, humility, respect, humble, aggressive, passive when necessary, stronger than I've ever been. And all of that was born out of what was at one point a very negative occurrence in my life. When it initially happened, I looked at my fair case I said, man, what happened to me, man? I was embarrassed, ashamed, man. But now I look at that shit now, man. That was one of the best experiences of my life. I've never been this strong, ever, in my life. And you know, that's my story, man. But when I got sentenced, that day I got sentenced, I felt relief. I felt relief. And I began to get my happiness back, and the depression began to go away because I knew what my fate was. And I surrendered, I self-surrendered October the 4th. I did all my time, and I got out, and I started all over again from scratch. And I came all the way back. I don't have the amount of money that I lost, but that'll come. But everything else that I lost or that I didn't have on the first go round, I got all that back in abundance. And I got new principles and values and spiritual principles and morals and ethics that I never had. An erectness in my soul, a spirituality is razor sharp as a result of that experience. Sean Jake. Peace.